it's so many different platforms that are available to us that we don't realize because we're still stuck on the 9 to 5 idea. And there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5 at all. I just think if you're not fulfilled in your job, you need to make a plan. So the transition was kind of like methodical with me, but just being open to the uncertainty, being open of, the uncertainty, and just seeing the beauty on the other side, which I believe I'm at now. It's beyond a dollar sign.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you feel fulfilled, even if you're making half, or let's say you're making more, it becomes less about the money and more about your impact. And I feel like that's where I'm at now. And I think that energy is contagious. And it's so freeing. It's just so freeing.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is Abby here, and I want to thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Modern Day Unicorn. Today, we have a true one here. His name is Tony, and he started a great effort right there in the USA. I'm going to let him tell you all more about himself. Tony, please give us the rundown on who you are and what you do.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Abby, for having me and inviting me on. So like Abby mentioned, my name is Tony. I represent Kick Dreams United. What we are is a nonprofit where we recycle shoes that people don't wear anymore, or ones that they do, and give them to those in need. We provide shoes as a service for the kingdom.
That is wonderful. Now, like you heard him say, giving gently used shoes or shoes that, are no longer what you would personally wear, and giving them to people that are in need. This can be less fortunate. This can be whoever needs shoes. And I think that's a dope concept because, when you think about how many times people purchase shoes and they kind of don't and I'm not necessarily even a seasons person, but there are some shoes that I've sat on for a very long time that can be good, put to good use. Can you give us a description or tell us about how this vision even came to be?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you again, Abby, because I remember back in 2014, or even before 2014, that's when we got started. I was talking to my wife about it, and she mentioned that you were into nonprofit organizations and you had that type of knowledge. So thank you for meeting with me, because you're one of the first persons that I shared the idea with, and it really encouraged me to go forward. So thank you so much. I've always been grateful of that conversation.
My pleasure.
And it's just amazing what God has done since then. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Listen, and it was just a conversation for me. I don't even think I was that knowledgeable, but I appreciate you appreciating the conversation that we had. I definitely remember that day, and it is truly amazing to see what you have built from that time to now. And like I said, we're gonna get deeper into how this even came to be. So please continue.
Sure, God is good, and I appreciate you. You had the knowledge, and I took it. So thank you. Okay, so could you run that question by me?
How did the concept even come into be?
Sure. So, like you mentioned, I've always been into sneakers, right? I think when you're born, certain things God just puts on your heart that you're interested in. And, and I always kind of like the freedom and the idea of working for yourself. So I went to school, of course, did the college thing, had a beautiful experience. But the problem is I came out unsure what I wanted to do. I wasn't really passionate. But I was blessed enough to get some really good jobs. I was just miserable, honestly. I got paid well, but I was miserable.
Where did you work?
So I did IT.
Okay.
I did IT. So I really enjoy helping people. But like the politics of the job, the 9 to 5, the traffic and all that stuff, it was a lot. So I got laid off. And then I was having a conversation with my mother. I'll never forget, in Baltimore, we eat breakfast. And I told her, I was like, Mom, I want to do something that I'm passionate about. You know what I'm saying? I know it can make money and everything, but I want to do something that I really love. And I was making mention to her how there's different YouTubers who were getting paid to go to Michael Jordan's house to review sneakers. And as a sneakerhead, I was like, now that is amazing. That why can't that be me, right? And she's like, that's all fine and good, but I think you could do something original, something that's more catered to you. And I was like, okay. So we came up with the idea of just giving shoes away. My parents always been, givers in the community and everything. So it just felt real good. My mom and I went downtown. We grabbed a bunch of shoes that I wasn't wearing anymore. We gave them away. And I had a little GoPro. We recorded it, put it on Instagram. And it got addicting. It got contagious. The love felt so good. We came up with the name. My boy Othniel did the logo, and it's been kind of nonstop since then.
I'm still waiting for my T-shirt, by the way.
Yo, I got something special for you beyond the T-shirt. I'm putting a special order.
Hey. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So that is really unique, and I love the concept of you incorporating your family and your parents into helping you mold what you want to do. So, can you walk us through kind of how you went from, all right, great, like maybe not great at the time, but I got laid off, but I wasn't passionate about it. I think there's something about knowing that you're not passionate about something that you're doing and making that pivot, even if you were kind of forced into it. But like, how did you say, okay, this is how I can make this work? Giving shoes away, starting a nonprofit. Where did that? How did you navigate those waters to say this is a service that I'm doing? How can I turn it into a business?
Right. So the beautiful thing is, we talk about God and His timing. Because I got laid off and I started Kick Dreams because I had the time and everything. But I went back into the IT field, right, for like maybe 3 years, 3 years. And I actually got fired like 3 years ago. So, it's like I started it and I had the time and we got the momentum. But I think God was like, you going back in the job. I was trying to tell you, you don't need to be in there. And I remember distinctively, God, is a special day at work. He said, you need to leave right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't listen. So he kind of forced me out. Like, okay, you don't want to listen, I'm going to take you out of here. It was very stressful at first, but now it's been beautiful. Working with my team. Like I said, we're a nonprofit, and we have a system that works. And just going through the steps, we're a subsidiary of our church, so we operate through them as a nonprofit, Berea Temple. But, it's just the step that needed to be made, and now I have more time. And as a result of the time, we've had been able to give away so much more shoes and partnerships with like Foot Locker and Fleet Feed and everything. So it's really just trusting God, instead of my own ideas, because everything He does or suggests always pans out perfect.
And that's amazing to be able to not only live out but demonstrate and display the faith moves. God has done a tremendous work on me. He's still working on me. I've had similar experiences that you had when it comes to work and being like, I remember distinctively, like I used to work in a bank and I hated it so much. And I had a situation to where it was like, Lord, I hate this job. And it's clear as day. He's like, I never asked you to stay. And that was, I literally it was like, I never asked you to stay. Because I was, trying to take care of myself. I needed to pay my rent. Exactly. I needed to, have insurance. But it was that day that I typed up my letter of resignation on my little slider phone, went and printed it, upstairs at the insurance office and handed it in. But there are all those pivotal times to where if you don't listen, you suffer a little bit more. And then you're in a situation to where it's just like, well, I told you. But being able to look back and be just like, notice that moment to say, okay, my bad.
Absolutely. Because what it is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty. For me, it is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
With a job, you have the certainty of knowing that you're going to get a paycheck. Even if you got to drive the traffic, deal with certain people, whatever the case may be, you have a guaranteed check. And for me, that was tough. But now I look back on it, I'm so thankful that
Mm-hmm.
that happened because it just now I'm free. But it's just incredible. So I just would like everybody, if you're interested, no matter what it is, just to take that first step of faith.
So how are you full time now, and how long have you been full time?
I am full time. Been full time for the past 2 years. But the cool thing about having that freedom is you're open to other business opportunities, saying in investments and stuff like that. So I try not to put all my eggs in one
Mm-hmm.
basket when it comes to that. But I am blessed to say that I'm free to be able to do Kick Dreams full time now and provide. So that's just nothing but a blessing.
And that's amazing. So, I'm on my journey. I literally just, if you will, got my freedom papers, and I'm doing full time freelance work here in the UAE in Abu Dhabi. Thank you, thank you. It was just
Beautiful.
a moment where I knew I needed a change. I loved doing what I was doing, but I wasn't fulfilled in the
Yes.
way I was doing it. And so I needed an unrestricted environment to be able to, like you said, build partnerships and do, passion projects and things of that nature. And of course I have, all of my worries and my finances and whatnot. But, God is like literally just broken down barriers and allowed me to have a smooth transition. Like I'll have to tell people about the transition to, starting your own business and being like living abroad and being responsible for yourself in the UAE is a thing. It's a process. It's not like
Mm,
being at home and saying, I want to start a business, because at home, in a sense, you belong there. So nobody's
right.
questioning you about the processes that you're going through. When you're abroad, it's just like, who are you? Uh, why do you want to be here? And what are you trying to do? You have to prove yourself a little bit more in order to do it here. Because, of course, people are like, why don't you just go home and do that? But there's
Gotcha.
also reasons why I'm doing it here versus doing it at home. Anywho, all right. So I I know for me at least, I would like to I know a little bit more. You had started Kick Dreams when you were working, then you were able to go full time. What was that transition like? Because right now I'm trying to figure out how not to drive myself crazy, trying to keep myself busy, because I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something almost all of the time. But like, what was that transition like? Like, I have all this free time, I have all these ideas. How did you, have you found that groove, or what does that look like for you?
Absolutely, and shout out to you, Abby, for making it happen out there in Dubai, because I know that's not easy, and you've been out there for a while
Yeah, 3 years.
now. So yeah, we're very proud of
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. So, uh, so the first transition when I started Keep Dreams and I was laid off wasn't as difficult because I was still living with my parents at the time. But when recently I got fired, that was a little rough, you know. So it went from like, okay, I'm stressed out to like, no, okay, just put the plan together, just put a little bit more effort into Keep Dreams. Um, what else can you do? So I applied for jobs. I did get another job, but same thing. I just wasn't fulfilled or anything. Um, so the cool thing is my family is always in investing and having business ideas. So now having more time with them. I started different business ventures myself. Um, eBay, I got tapped into eBay, and it's
Nice.
different types of ways that you can thrift and make money that way. It's really amazing the multi it's so many different platforms that are
Hmm.
available to us that we don't realize because we're still stuck on the 9 to 5 idea. And there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5 at all. I just think if you're not fulfilled in your job, you need to make a plan.
Hmm.
So the transition was kind of like methodical with me, but just being open to the uncertainty, being open of, uh, you know, the uncertainty,
Hmm.
and just seeing the beauty on the other side, which I believe I'm at now, is beyond a dollar sign.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you feel fulfilled, even if you're making half, or let's say you're making more, it becomes less about the money and more about your impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's where I'm at now. And I think that energy is contagious, and it's so freeing. It's just so freeing. So I'm at a point now. I believe my family's at a point now where we just want to live in full purpose
Mm-hmm.
with what we do. And I mean, even just to give my wife a quick commercial, she just started a baking company called Reese's Apron.
Nice.
And she's been baking all her life, but now she's selling her baked goods, and that's been going well. So it's just, like follow your passion, follow your purpose, and I feel like it's going to work out.
You said some key things there, especially when in terms of diversifying the things that you're doing. And I think that many people get caught up in thinking, I can own, like, if I start a business, I can only do X. You know what I'm saying? And not saying, oh, I can do
Right.
X, Y, and Z, and still, continue to find meaning in those things. Like, and I understand it's not necessarily the concept of multitasking, but it's saying you have the opportunity to do more than one thing. Your focus is one,
Yes.
but you can dip into other things. You can help other people, other ministries, other businesses. And when it is not about the dollar sign, when, God is providing your basic needs,
Yes.
then you can
Yes.
say, look, sure, I'll do that. That's no problem. Like, I'll be happy to. So diversification is also very key, being able to, follow your passions, but also provide a service for other people so that they can see. And like you said, these things are contagious, like literally.
Right.
Like, I'm sure you've inspired many people and you will continue to, but now your wife, shout out to Sharice. What's up? My former roommate.
Yes.
But yeah, showing people the blueprint, being like, you can do this too. And they're like, for real? One thing I wanted to ask you, because you started a nonprofit. I know some people think that those are like humongous hurdles and you did it in a different way. Can you share about your nonprofit, like, process and how that went for you?
Yeah, I think you made some great points, and I think it just depends on the organization and what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not that tough to get started with a nonprofit. Even since when we started to now, you can just go to a CPA. If you feel overwhelmed with the process, you could pay like a tax agent, and they'll set you up, like a reputable one, and they will set you up properly to help you along with the process, if that's your angle. Just
sorry.
for us, since we have such.
Before you answer that, I'm sorry. Why nonprofit? Why not LLC or corporation? Why nonprofit?
Right. So, I mean, I think that really depends on the actual organization. But for us, we just focus on nonprofit, just because there's different business ventures we have. We don't really want to mix business with giving in the sense that we have. Now, we are going to start a merchandise page. It's going to be called KDU Athletics.
Nice.
And everything. But it's smoother for us to operate through a nonprofit realm and have our sponsors and everything like that.
Now, when it comes to nonprofit, I myself sometimes I think about, and you can answer this however you like, but when it comes to nonprofit, I think, and many people are like, but am I going to make any money? How am I going to, sustain or, what have you? Could you give us a little bit of insight into how that can possibly work? How you are able to earn an income, or you said you have a team, how people are able to earn an income, but also give as much as you can to the community.
Right. So, I mean, what's so cool about Kick Dreams is that we only have maybe like under 1,500 followers, right? Like on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But like the word of mouth and the family community, the church community, everybody is so supportive. Honestly, we don't need a whole lot. We don't need a lot. Everything is provided. Everything's been provided ever since we started, and like ample, more than what we need.
Wonderful.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's operational costs and stuff like that. I would just suggest to different organizations, just do what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We have different sponsors and people who support us and donate monetarily as well. But also look into the grants. There's grant programs available, and businesses and companies are always willing to have a nice tax write-off for companies and things like that. So it's that's the beautiful nature of it.
Nice. Do you all have a physical location, or do you kind of just run by, events?
Yeah, so we're based out of Baltimore. We keep the shoes in two locations. But yeah, we're based and operate off and from Baltimore.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, as we kind of wrap up, I wanted to make sure that I asked you, what are three tips that you would give anybody, young, old, working in a place where they've been feeling the unfulfillment. They need a change in their life. Definitely, let's speak to that. What would you say to somebody who is in the place where we once were, where we were just unfulfilled? And how would
Yes.
you suggest that they try to navigate through that?
Right. So I think the number one step would be just to get in connection with God, right? Not even to be like cliche or anything. um, but it's something to be said about sitting down, having quiet time with God, and just letting your requests be known to Him. No matter what it is, He's always going to answer you. Just being open to that, and I think that's very important. I think the second thing is, there's nothing wrong with the job. There's nothing wrong with the job. So I would say, if you don't like your job, you don't have to necessarily just, you see on YouTube, just leave your job now. I was living in a dumpster for 2 weeks. Now I'm a millionaire. It doesn't have to be that deep of a transition all the time. You know what I mean? So, I would say, if you could bear it, keep your job, and make a plan. Make a plan. But it's different for everybody. But I would say just number one, pray, talk to God. Number two, make a plan with something that you feel resonates with you, whatever, and it could be anything. It could be anything. God has many gifts that He's offered us. For me, it's sneakers, right? For somebody else, it could be, I don't know, reading or
Hmm.
travel or food. Um, and third thing I would say is being consistent.
Hmm.
That's one thing that can easily um, you can easily get disrupted, frustrated, distracted. So I would say the third thing would just be consistent in the purity of what you want to
I love
do.
that.
Because when you do that, it's gonna remain wholesome. It's gonna remain pure to your assignment, and you can't go wrong with those three things, I believe. So prayer, making a plan, and staying consistent. I think of my three bad boys right there.
And those are wonderful suggestions. Just want to highlight what you said out of that is that you can be as unconventional as you want to when it comes to things that you're passionate about. People don't, in a sense, dream about giving away shoes. That's a concept that, many people don't have outside of, like, Goodwill and Salvation Army, which sometimes they don't even give it away. They resell it, right? So when you think about
Yes.
when you think about the things that you can do, it can be something that, we've all heard the concept, do something that you would, want to do for free and whatnot.
Right.
Um, but yeah, and then, like, not containing yourself, like dreaming big and things of that nature. So I love those things about, the tips that you brought out. And I want to encourage anybody that's listening, like, your service, let's do that. Your service, your pivot can be whatever you want. Really. There's somebody that can connect. There's
Yes.
somebody that you can encourage and that you can influence. There's no cookie cutter or book or, sermon or speaker that can tell you exactly what you need to do. It is truly an internal connection. Um, and that's why this is called modern day unicorns, because the people that I speak to are just doing things that are just is that even real? Is that even possible? And the answer is yes.
Wow.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Yes. No, Abby, that's what's so cool about you saying that. My wife always calls me a unicorn too. And I call her one. So shout out to wifey too. I see her on here.
That's what's
But no, that's it. That's it exactly. Like I said, we operate as a nonprofit through our church, but there's other things I do. Like you mentioned the Goodwill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the Goodwill, there's this plethora of wealth that people don't know about that they sell for like $5 or something. Radios, shoes, TVs, anything at thrift stores, and people make a full-time living just from doing that, from thrifting. And my parents are into business. You got cryptocurrency, which is cool. That's just my levels.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more. Real estate. So like I said, we get support from Kick Dreams and everything, but grants don't always come through, right?
Right.
So you gotta have other ways, other means. Make a system with your team. Okay, what can we do to supplement income so we can keep operating and things like that? And it could be anything. The most important thing is service, because that's what we're all here for, is to serve each other. It could be like this podcast, because this is a platform where other people can hear about like change or something unconventional. So respect to you for this platform. And it's so beautiful because people, you don't even realize the people who are listening, the people who are looking, and the impact it's having on their lives. And, I've been inspired from people as well. That's why Kick Dreams is even here. My parents, my wife, my friends, my family. We're all in this together. So that's what it's all about. But I think it's so important that you spend your waking hours doing something that you feel, that you work, a place you want to be. Life's too short to be somewhere where you're miserable. And I don't care if it's a 9-to-5, a relationship. We're not doing that no more. So it's important.
Real quick, before we end, I wanted to ask you really quick, how have you all, I guess, during the hype, or whatever you want to call it, through COVID, how are you all able to kind of like sustain, or what, changes or modifications did you all make to continue to be in operation and to give during, the past year of COVID?
Sure, Abby. So the cool thing is we have such good supporters. Even through COVID, man, I got some shoes. So we did a thing where I have a pickup truck, and I would go around and just pick up shoes from people, and it would be contactless. Mass people just put all the shoes in the bed. But it affected us in terms of we had to cancel like 3-4 different events we had set up. And of course we wanted to give, but it's like, it's giving a pair of shoes worth it if their lives could be in danger. So we just had to pause, really, because like everybody else, we figuring it out. But as things got a little bit more safe, just using the proper precautions, mask, gloves, hand sanitizer, and everything, and keeping our distance. And we've been blessed with, man, through the pandemic, we got more partnerships with Foot Locker and stuff. So, yeah, God has a way of working through all that stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I want to thank you for your time. And before we go ahead and log off, can you please tell the people everywhere that they can find you, ways that they can support you, ways that they can donate shoes if they are local? Please share that with us.
Yes. So if you're local, you can donate shoes to Uptown Cheapskate in College Park, out of stock in Clarksville, 9 out of 10 condition in Baltimore, Federal Hill, and Footage Society in Laurel. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Kick Dreams United.
Wonderful. And I'll be sure to add all that information in the show notes or on the screen. So you might have to send me all those details for those locations. But happy to share. Once again, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge. For all of you out there, make sure that you take some time with yourself and think about different things. What is one of the passions that you have that may be odd? Go ahead and comment below with what that might be. It could be anything. Share your idea and allow us to continue to validate you on your journey. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.